What's going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we're doing another Champion Spotlight video on the exclusive current event going on here with Ninja. Based after the content creator Tyler Blevins. There was an awesome sponsorship he did. There's an awesome trailer for YouTube for probably a new ad campaign. He streamed the game for a bit. They did add him in the game as a character, so we're going to talk about him today, since everybody, if you've been logging in every single day for the past 7 days, you finally got Ninja. So the question is, what can you do with this guy? I am here to show you what I figured out works with this guy, and you can decide from there where he can be used to really help your account if you want to progress forward, or if you just like the way this guy looks. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about his aesthetics first. Alright guys, so normally when I go over this, there's a lot of mystery involved. It's a brand new champion. People probably haven't looked at it. When we're talking about Ninja, a lot of people have already commented and spectated on his aesthetics already. Really cool arm, really cool bow. The one wing, there is some fantasy behind that he does have going for him. There's a few cool animations for his spells that we will go over after this, and the main thing a lot of people talk about is the face seems a bit rushed. Personally, I do agree with that. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments there, but I do think they could have done a bit of a better job on the face. The wardrobe looks awesome. The weapons, like I already said, looks awesome. The headband was a great touch for this guy. So overall, I think this is a pretty decent looking champion. Like I said, the main takeaway is going to be the face of this champion. Alright, so now that we've talked about this, let's go over his skills one by one. First, with the A1, Shatter Ball attacks one enemy, having a 45% chance of placing that defense down debuff for 2 turns, also filling this champion's turn meter by 15% when used against bosses. This is good and this is bad. If you know about speed tuning teams, you really don't want that turn meter, but if you just want a progression champion, which this is going to be for most people, and it's kind of a spoiler as to what to expect with this build, this is definitely a good part of the kit here. As we can see, damage is based on attack, so let's go ahead and see what this A1 looks like here. So really cool drawback effect, really cool arrow effect. Let's look at that one time and one time speed. So like I said, they did a great job in my opinion with that part of this champion. Now let's move on to his A2 Hail Burn. So here we have a 4-turn cooldown, attacking 3 times at random, and this really kills it for me. I've gone over this before. When I did talk about this champion initially when it came out, each hit has a 75% chance of placing that HP burn, up to 100% chance if you do book this champion, placing a perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns. When used against bosses, will instantly activate any HP burn debuff, including HP burn debuffs placed by this champion. So the second part of this skill we're going to talk about a lot more later on in the video. I found some pretty interesting things about that, but let's go ahead and take a look at what this A2 Hail Burn looks like. Back to 1 time speed, and here we go. So this is a really cool animation. He's using his sword instead of his bow this time, so definitely a cool effect. I don't believe any other champion in the game has an effect like that, so I do like that addition there. Cyan Slash. Now we have a 5-turn cooldown here, attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. When targeting a boss, will only attack the boss, not all enemies, and will ignore 50% of the target's defense. Will also decrease the cooldown of Hail Burn, which was that A2, by 1 turn. So pretty good synergy with the A2. We have a freeze, we have an HP burn. There is something to say about that, along with someone like Torment, who also has interactions with freeze and HP burn, so there could be some synergy there. So let's go ahead and see what Cyan Slash looks like. With AoE, this is not going to be the boss effect, simply the mob effect here. So once again, another sword ability here. I'm a fan of it. I'm not sure if you guys are, but I'm definitely a fan of the new animations here. Something that does appear to be unique as well. We have a red version, the A2, and a blue version with the A3, signifying HP burn and finally freeze. Moving on to his passive, Escalation. This increases Ninja's attack by 10% up to 100 and crit damage by 5% up to 25 each time a single enemy is hit by all 3 of Ninja's active skills in a single round. So this is really good, but it's very limiting, if we can say that, because it has to be in the same round. And looking at the ramp up here, you have to attack 10 times to reach the full potential of the attack increase, and 5 times for the full potential of the crit damage increase. So honestly, if you're going that many times, you're probably going to hit the turn meter limit once you finally do get to a boss. So This is a bit interesting. You can clearly see the pull to clan boss here. Moving on to the second part of this ability, when fighting bosses, will increase ninja's attack by more, so 20%, 100%, and then crit damage 10%, 25%. In my opinion, this should be reversed, or everything should be as short as the fighting boss condition of this skill, because I really just think that the first part is going to take way too long to ramp up and reach that potential, maybe in some type of stall defense. But honestly, this guy's not going to survive very long in a stall type defense. So now, starting with the base stats Ninja has, once he's level 60, fully ascended, we have 16,845 health, very low, but he is an attack based champion. Attack 1,509, which is on the higher side, so that is the good news. Defense 947, once again another low roll on that base stat that he does have. 100 base speed, 15% crit rate, 63 crit damage, 30 resistance, and finally 10 accuracy here. Now we're going to go over the gearing recommendations that I personally have after testing him out, and unfortunately, whether you're early game, mid game, late game, or end game, I cannot justify recommending any of you to build this guy for full damage. I tried him in my best gear. He doesn't compete with anybody. Obviously, he's much worse than Trunda. Everyone's going to be significantly worse than Trunda with that condition on her A3 ability, but this guy, he really missed the mark for me as far as what his damage could have been to what it is. Now, there are a few other things that can contribute to his damage that I will go over later on, but as far as raw damage goes, I really don't recommend building him for raw damage. So if I had to label this would be a mild damage dealer that has an incredible value for CC. So starting off with the banner, I would recommend an accuracy banner, finding speed substats. Moving on to the neck piece, you can go crit damage if you want. I personally went HP on the main stat for the neck piece, and I went accuracy in the substat, filling in crit damage or flat attack as you saw necessary. For the ring there, that's where you can go attack on the base part of the ring, and then attack percentage in the substats if you do find yourself needing more survivability, which I don't think you're going to need based on how good he is at actually CCing, meaning crowd controlling all of the waves you'll be fighting. You can go HP or defense percent, but like I said, I think he does pretty well on his own as long as his speed is right. Moving on to the boots, I do recommend speed, of course, as the main stat, and as far as substats go, you can fill this in with crit rate. Make sure you're at 100% crit chance because all of that value will add up in the end. Then you want to go attack percent. Moving on to the chest piece, if you find yourself lacking accuracy, you can go for the accuracy on the main stat for the chest piece. If not, I would go attack percent and then crit rate, speed in the substats. For gloves, I would definitely recommend crit rate gloves. Despite me saying his damage is quite low, damage does add up, and he has such high base attack. You can do a mild, like I said before, amount of damage. Not enough to really group him into the support role class, which everyone's kind of hoping, because he is labeled as an attack type champion in the Shadowkin faction, and we all know that the Shadowkins are known for dealing lots of damage. I'm not really sure how they missed the mark on that, but that's a separate story. Moving on to the weapon, I would go accuracy, speed, HP percent, or attack percent. For the helmet, once again, accuracy, speed, attack percent. Any missing crit rate you do need to fill in. Finally, for the shield here, crit rate, crit damage, and speed, once again on the high priority. Filling in accuracy if you do need to hit any type of accuracy check for whatever content you're doing. So with that being said, let me show you how I personally geared my ninja here. Total stats, we have 36,000 health, 4.2 thousand attack, nothing too crazy, 230 speed, 100% crit rate, 225 crit damage, 255 accuracy. So this was good enough for me to do stage 25 dungeons. Faction Wars, when it comes out, I think Ninja is going to be a key because of that CC and a lot of the possible and potential threats there's going to be in those Faction War stages, and hopefully we get to see that Shadowkin crypt opening up soon. Outside of that, if you wanted to use them for Doom Tower, obviously these stats would have to go way up as far as the speed goes, but more so the accuracy. You want at least 400, 450 accuracy to really make sure you're getting through that hard mode of the Doom Tower. The next thing I'll go over are the masteries that I used for this champion. Unlike a lot of other champions, I did not go the offense tree at all. I went for the higher chance with fearsome presence to stun the target. I went for the increased chance for the HP burn because I did not personally book this guy. So this guy costs a lot of books, and in my opinion, it wasn't really worth it for me. If this is your first legendary, I highly recommend considering the value of Ninja before investing all of these books into him, because he does take quite a few, and that's something to consider. If you want to go the CC route like I did, these are the masteries I would recommend for this champion. So the question most people wanted to know coming into this is, how viable is he in the Spider's Den? So we're going to go ahead, go to stage 20 of the Spider, just so people can kind of understand how his HP burn interacts when every single target has HP burn on it. You would think that if it hits the spider, if you target the spider, it's going to proc all of the HP burn on all of the spiderlings, which would have been absolutely amazing, very similar to Sisia. However, attacks 3 times at random, so you have a very small chance of actually hitting the spider boss here, making it almost a complete waste of time. And if you even do hit the spider boss, it does not consider HP burn from any of the spiderlings. All it does is apply the HP burn from the main spider boss, and it does, I don't know, 1/16 of his health. So unfortunately, this didn't work for me. As we can see, it did proc on a few of them, initiating that HP burn. It did decent amount of damage to the spiderlings, but never going to be consistent in a spider run unless someone can figure something out crazy. I don't think it's going to be possible though. So after testing him out in the spider, being disappointed with that, I said, okay, where can I use this guy? And the best place I found to showcase him was in fact going to be the Ice Golem. Stage 25, blue affinity for him, blue affinity for Ninja. We're going to see here, I do have Kaiden with the attack down placement. I have Ninja here. I have Ursuga for some survivability and for the HP aura. Battle for the cleanse. You can use someone like a Doom Priest. This isn't really a team showcase. It's more showing you guys what Ninja can do. There are going to be much faster comps Ninja can go into to make this a faster run. But for most people, if you're progressing through, I pretty much use the basics here. Defense down and weaken, or just a defense down if you have it. Ninja, some type of cleanser, some type of protection champion, whether it's Ursuga, Miscreated Monster, Versulf, the new fusion here, and then finally an AoE attack down champion is going to help out a lot for this. So as you're going to see, once we move through this stage and onto the next one, the enemy is going to get very few amount of turns because of how strong the CC is. As we can see, 4 to 5 champions there on an unbooked Ninja. We did get the freeze off. He is getting turn meter gain. He has 230 speed, so a decent amount of speed to kind of circulate and cycle through rather quickly. He also has the stun set with that 3 random hits, so there's a lot of things going on here that's really aiming this guy towards being that ultimate CC champion. So everything's cycling through. I think I've seen, I don't know, 3 or 4 total hits come through, which is pretty impressive because like I said, this isn't a very fast team. Now, one thing I didn't mention before about Kaiden, he's not only an attack down champion, also has that revive, and revive's definitely going to be a very strong fail-safe for running any type of dungeon, specifically Ice Golem. Everyone's been in that spot where it's been a little bit crazy once you get to the boss and he starts using that hard-hitting ability during his thresholds. One cool thing about Ninja, maybe we'll get lucky and see it during this run, is when he does proc to HP burn on the Ice Golem, he can actually skip the Frigid Winds threshold here. So we do have HP burn. We're going to have to let it cycle through. Hopefully we can keep that debuff still on here. There's a counter attack there. Defense down is going to be strong, but definitely not reliable. You'll still want an AoE one. So there's the freeze. Now reducing the turn count of that HP burn, so hopefully we can see a nice proc here. He has 1 turn left. Okay, so there's no more HP burn. Unfortunately, it's not going to line up perfectly. Down goes Ninja, revived by Lydia, so that's very good here. We did just see the application of his A3 ability where he applied the burn, consumed the burn, did a respectable amount of damage, not a ton of damage. It does way more damage when there's HP burn already on the boss, and then he's proccing that A3 ability specific to bosses only. So that's definitely a high benefit. I am going to show you a clan boss run, something pretty interesting that I did find out about all of this, and I want to get your guys' opinion because maybe it's simply a case of me looking for something for way too long, so it kind of lost value and I kind of didn't understand what was happening, but maybe you guys can figure it out when I wasn't able to. So as you can see here, Ninja doing 2.3 million overall as a CC champion. Rather strong if you think about it. Battle Khazar, obviously AoE Poison, is going to be the top there at 3.3 million damage. So overall, definitely a solid CC champion, and that's how I would personally use him. Okay, so the next part I want to talk about is the clan boss. This is where Ninja, I think, may shine, and like I said, there's a few things I'm not totally sure on. I've been testing for a while, maybe I've been looking at it for too long, like I mentioned before, but I'm going to kind of show you my logic on this, and you guys can give me your feedback on what you think. Alright, so we'll start with a defense down, increase speed, that's all good. Now we're going to apply HP burn, and look at how the activation of HP burn actually works here. Let's put this on 1x speed. Okay, so there was total of 3 procs of HP burn here. We do not have War Master, and there's 2 remaining stacks on the champion. So my first thought was he's always going to apply 2 stacks, then it's going to get detonated for 1 stack total, then he's going to rinse and repeat that. That's all good. However, one interesting thing, and maybe I'm just overthinking it and I'll figure it out as I'm talking about it now, if you add someone like a Vizier, he always decreases it by 3 turns no matter what, which to me seemed kind of strange. And I mean, personally, I was hoping I could stack it with Vizier, and maybe this would have been too broken. I can definitely see an argument for that, but stacking up 99 stacks and then detonating all 99 stacks on the clan boss and just watching it completely blow up, that to me would be very cool. So that's kind of what I was looking for. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, so we're not going to see this 20 million damage hit from Ninja, although you would have to manual it, so maybe that wouldn't be as ideal. But the question is, can this be relevant enough to really capitalize on lots of damage? Now, you probably wouldn't need someone like a Vizier if you can get Ninja somehow speed tuned into a 2-to-1 ratio team where he's getting to go often enough to really capitalize on that HP burn. The damage is going to add up from him getting 3 stacks of HP burn. So once again, we're going to use this A3 ability here now with 4 stacks and see what happens. We'll put it on 1x speed. So this time, once again, he activated 3. It went from 4 total all the way back to 2. And now that I think about it, when I was testing this on 9 stacks total, it was a little bit different. Based on what I was testing earlier, it always went down 3 stacks and never went up at all. Maybe there's some threshold thing going on here, I'm not really sure, but I don't really think it's that relevant now that I think about it. All I can tell you is if you get the stacks up to like 13, 14, or 15 with Vizier Ovelis, it'll always drop by 3 stacks unless Vizier keeps extending it. So these are my thoughts here. If you really wanted to capitalize on this, can this do a lot of damage? Let me just end the run here. Actually, we might as well just hit the key threshold and kind of watch his animations here. So he does decent damage, like I said before. If I didn't have him in a CC set, if I give him War Master, he can probably do a ton of damage in the clan boss, but speed tuning him is not going to be fun, that I can guarantee you. And the question is, how viable is he going to be with him constantly consuming the HP burn? Now, maybe something like a reflex gear is going to come in handy with this champion here. You can disable that A3 ability, which is the freeze, to make sure that reflex is always proccing on the A2 ability, even though the A3 ability does decrease the cooldown by 1, so it's going to be a trade-off, and definitely could be something interesting to test if someone does want to use this guy in the end game for clan boss. Now, for the early game, I think he's going to help out pretty much every single early game player. Getting a legendary like this to use in the clan boss, defense down in the A1, HP burn, very strong buff early on, as most early game players aren't filling up their debuff bar quickly at all. So these are just the things that I picked up on when I was trying this, and maybe some type of high damage meta team will come out of Ninja. I personally don't think so, but I'm not going to jump to conclusions because I did not spend the time to figure out a team that I could really make Ninja shine in. So let's go ahead, get out of this run, see what the total damage is going to be. We have 4 million, 1 million. I mean, this is a terrible comparison. Like I said, He doesn't have War Master. I don't think anyone on this team, as far as I know, that does have War Master, so he does a lot of damage early on. This damage is going to ramp significantly, so that's pretty much where I stand as far as clan boss goes. Now, as I did mention before, Doom Tower somewhere you can use him. Arena, very niche use if you are for some reason fully booking Ninja here, and just kind of to show you once again how many books you do in fact need for this character. We have 4 for the A1, 5 for the A2. I don't know why they put so many books, and then once again 4 for the A3. So this is a huge investment if you are planning to invest into Ninja here. So if for some reason you have that 100% chance on the A3 to freeze everybody. His base speed isn't that fast, and a lot of people are going to see this as a damage dealing character, which I disagree with. Like I said, I would go for CC. If you want to use this freeze, it's not like Gergo. He's not stripping the buffs and then freezing, so if they have block debuffs, it's not going to work that well. But early on in the arena, I would definitely expect this guy to be pretty much everywhere, and I would assume people are going to build him with damage because he is labeled as an attack legendary, not a support legendary, and his abilities look cool and they probably feel good to do a lot of damage. So if you really want to spice things up, shake up wherever you are in the arena, probably not gold 4, gold 3, or any higher than that, but if you're in bronze, if you're in silver and you have this champion, put him in a CC set, make him very fast. I guarantee you're going to catch a lot of people off guard because they're not going to be expecting this type of build coming from a Shadowkin pack-based legendary. Alright guys, that's going to conclude my video today on Ninja. Give me your feedbacks. What do you think of the champion? Were you expecting more? Were you expecting about what you got? Were you expecting less? What do you think of his looks? I'm interested to know on your feedback, since this is technically the second promotion we've got for a champion. However, this is the first one that's been exclusive and available for free to all players. So keyword for free. No one should have really been expecting some crazy OP legendary. Do I think it's going to help? Yes. Was it the smart move to kind of have a CC role champion, even though people might not expect that out of an attack based champion? I do agree with that. I think this is going to help a lot of people in progression. Would I personally ever tell people to spend their legendary books on this guy for progression? Honestly, no. I think the RNG is perfect in a progression setting. It does feel bad when you do fail runs, but overall I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I think it's going to help a lot of people out. So give me your feedback. Don't forget, if you enjoy this content, smash that like button, subscribe, turn on notification bells, and I will see you all in my next upload.